In a region ablaze with grief, where every explosion in Gaza reverberates in the hearts of millions, one voice remains conspicuously quiet. The custodian of Islam's holiest sites, the de facto ruler of the Gulf's most powerful kingdom, the man with a global vision to transform the Arab world, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Why, in the face of what many now call genocide, has MBS chosen silence? You're watching Timeless America, where stories are not just told, but lived. If you believe in diving beyond headlines, in understanding the deeper truths that shape our world, then take a moment now to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. There's a lot they won't tell you, but here, we bring the pieces together. Legacy of Solidarity. Now rewritten. For much of modern Arab history, Saudi Arabia stood tall as a leading defender of the Palestinian cause. In every UN hall, at every Arab League summit, and in sermons across the kingdom, Palestine was not just a foreign policy issue, it was a sacred duty. Since 1948, Saudi monarchs, from King Abdulaziz to King Fahd, have donated billions to Palestinian refugees, funded hospitals and mosques in the West Bank, and maintained diplomatic stances that tied Arab dignity to Palestinian liberation. Even the 2002 Arab Peace Initiative, championed by then Crown Prince Abdullah, was a bold Saudi-led gesture. Peace with Israel was only possible if Palestinians were given their rightful homeland. But today, as Gaza lies in ruins under months of Israeli bombardment, with civilian death tolls exceeding 35,000, Saudi Arabia's voice is not leading Arab outrage. Instead, it's offering generic calls for peace, restrained language, and muted diplomacy. So, what changed? MBS, the prince of a new era Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, or MBS, rose swiftly to power in 2017 and promised transformation, economically, socially, diplomatically. Vision 2030 was his master plan, a roadmap to pull the kingdom away from oil dependency and transform it into a global investment and innovation hub. For this vision to succeed, MBS needed three things: global capital and Western legitimacy. 2, political stability in the Gulf. 3, a rebranded Saudi image, modern, moderate, market-friendly, and the old Palestine-Israel conflict? To many in MBS's inner circle, it was becoming a geopolitical burden, one that interfered with normalization plans with Israel and complicated ties with the USA conflict in the way of commerce. Make no mistake. Behind MBS's silence lies cold, strategic calculus. Since 2020, the Abraham Accords, brokered by the Trump administration, saw the UAE, Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan normalize ties with Israel. Saudi Arabia, the ultimate Arab heavyweight, was watching. Quietly, it began engaging Israel through back channels, economic meetings, cybersecurity partnerships, and even whispered arms talks. By 2023, MBS signaled readiness to officially normalize relations in exchange for American security guarantees and nuclear technology cooperation. Then came October 7, 2023, when Hamas launched a deadly attack on Israel. The response from Tel Aviv was brutal. Gaza was sealed off, bombarded for months, and plunged into a catastrophic humanitarian crisis. What did MBS do? He paused the normalization talks, but didn't abandon them. Instead of vocal outrage, Saudi Arabia issued tepid statements, concern over civilian casualties, calls for restraint, hopes for de-escalation. Palestinians, meanwhile, were being wiped out. The fear of Iran and the shadow of Yemen. Saudi Arabia's silence is not just about Israel, it's about Iran. For decades, Riyadh and Tehran have been locked in a proxy war, from Syria to Lebanon, from Iraq to Yemen. And one of Iran's strongest tools? Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad, groups that receive financial and military backing from Tehran. Supporting Palestinian resistance movements openly would, in effect, mean aligning with Iran, an unacceptable outcome for MBS, especially as he tries to cool tensions in Yemen and reposition Saudi Arabia as a neutral Gulf power. There's also the Red Sea crisis. Houthi rebels in Yemen, supported by Iran, have attacked Israeli-linked shipping routes in solidarity with Gaza. In response, MBS coordinated with the U.S. to ensure Saudi energy exports remained safe, a clear indication of where his real priorities lie. Vision 2030. At what moral cost? MBS's master plan hinges on billions in Western investment. The Neom project, a $500 billion futuristic city, needs tech partners, tourism, and Western-friendly headlines. Condemning Israel too harshly would risk Western media backlash and could freeze military and economic cooperation with the U.S. In other words, MBS is gambling that a low-profile position on Palestine will preserve his greater ambitions. As he builds the new Saudi Arabia, he's choosing silence over solidarity, profit over principle. Internal pressure and controlled. Dissent within Saudi Arabia, public opinion is not as silent as the palace. Social media, despite tight restrictions, has been flooded with support for Palestinians. Clerics, influencers, and even footballers have hinted at frustration over Riyadh's lackluster response. But the price of dissent is high. Since the Jamal Khashoggi affair, MBS has cracked down on all opposition, activists, journalists, and even members of the royal family. Under this climate, mass mobilization in support of Gaza is unlikely. Protests seen in Jordan, Egypt, and even Bahrain. You won't find them in Saudi streets, not because Saudis don't care, but because they're not allowed to show it. Diplomacy of delay, the illusion of mediation. While Saudi Arabia appears inactive, it positions itself as a potential mediator. In December 2024, MBS reportedly spoke to President Biden and proposed a Saudi-hosted summit for Gaza reconstruction once the war ends. Critics called it a PR stunt. What use is reconstruction after 35,000 deaths? A real ally would have used its leverage, billions in arms deals, oil influence, Islamic authority, to pressure Israel to halt the bloodshed. Instead, MBS chose timing over truth. Regional fallout and changing perceptions, the silence of MBS hasn't gone unnoticed. Across the Arab world, Saudi Arabia's image as a leader of Islamic solidarity is being questioned. Turkey's President Erdogan, Qatar's Al-Thani, and even Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei have been more vocal in condemning Israel. Even in the West, progressive voices have begun asking, where is Saudi Arabia, the land of Mecca and Medina, in this global moment of moral reckoning? The answer: calculating, not leading. America's strings and the cost of obedience, Saudi Arabia is deeply tethered to Washington. Its military relies on U.S. systems. Its currency is pegged to the dollar. Its oil sales are stabilized by American markets. So when Biden quietly advises restraint, MBS listens. Silence in this context is not neutrality, it's compliance. To preserve the U.S.-Saudi pact, MBS is choosing not to act. And while the White House pushes for Saudi-Israeli normalization as a diplomatic legacy, Gaza burns in the background, the future of Palestinian-Saudi relations. So where does this leave Palestine? Saudi aid continues to flow, quietly. Humanitarian packages, hospital funding, post-war pledges. But the days of passionate speeches, of Arab unity over Al-Aqsa, feel distant. To Palestinians, this silence feels like betrayal. The kingdom that once championed their rights now appears indifferent to their suffering. And that perception, no matter how strategic, will have generational consequences. The silence that echoes, loudest Mohammed bin Salman's silence, is not accidental. It's a decision forged in geopolitical calculus, diplomatic risk assessments, and economic ambition. But it is a silence that history will not forget. In the years to come, NEOM may rise, investments may pour in, and Saudi Arabia may rebrand its image. But the people of Gaza and the wider Arab and Muslim world will remember that in their darkest hour the kingdom chose caution over courage. What do you think? Is MBS's silence a smart geopolitical move or a historic moral failure? Comment below and let us know. And if you value truth, context, and storytelling that exposes what headlines hide, then don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Timeless. America with others who seek to understand, not just consume.